It's David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be talking about problem players, the supporting cast member. On RPG is a team sport, it's a team activity. We're all coming together to forge this team, to tell the story of this team, and hopefully to change the world. Now, in a perfect world, everyone would show up for every single session. No one would ever have to quit the game at any point. No one would need to be thrown out of the game at any point. So in a perfect world, you can have one main character and a whole bunch of supporting cast members around him. And it will run through smoothly and without difficulty. So that's the perfect world. Now, in the real world, the place where I live, people leave the game. You know, they have kids, they have family commitments, they have school, they have work, they have to move away. You know, they're switched to night shift. They get sick. They get bed bugs and they're not allowed to go into anyone else's house. Their characters get killed. They get thrown out of the game because they suck. They have interpersonal problems with other players. A variety and plethora of things can happen to cause that main character to disappear. And as I said, one of those things is he gets killed. You know, the goblin with the rusty short sword got the lucky stab in. The rust got up in his guts. He got infected, and he died a horrible diarrhea-filled, pus-spewing tragedy of a life. Like he went out in the worst way possible. So what you actually want is not one strong supporting cast, one strong main character, and then all this supporting cast around him. That's the ensemble. And while you do want an ensemble, what you really want is the all-star squadron. You want everyone on your team to be a main character. That way, everyone is expendable. That way, if somebody moves, has to leave the game, gets thrown out of the game, their character gets killed, whatever it is, we can move the story forward without them. No one person is indispensable. And that's what you really want out of the game, out of the team. Because I've seen it happen over and over and over and over and over again. Whereas I'll say, okay, everybody make characters, and we're going to come in to the story. I've seen it happen more in one-shots, because I give people more free reign in one-shots. But I've seen it happen in campaigns as well, where someone will come in and say, oh, I'm so-and-so's love interest. I just follow them around, and they're awesome, and I kiss the ground they walk on, and I'm here to help them with whatever they need. And it's like, well, that's great, and that can be really great, but if so-and-so dies, removed from the game, what's your character now? And you can transition into a lead role. You can say, oh, now I'm the bitter, bereaved widow, and I want revenge for my lover. You can do that, and that'd be great. But I've seen a lot of people that get lost in the shuffle, and they're like, I was his lieutenant, and we trained together in school, and he was always the captain. He always knew what to do, and I follow him and execute his orders. And then he's dead, and it's like, who am I following now? I'm a follower. I'm a supporting cast member. I can't make decisions. I can't drive the plot forward. And I've seen that happen. And that's not good. You want every character to be able to make decisions. Every character to be able to drive the plot forward. That way, again, no one is indispensable that way. Everyone is expendable to some degree that way. It's just playing it safe. It's just playing the odds, because critical hits can be rolled. Tough decisions can be made that result in your own death. So when you're coming into a game, make someone who's a boss. Make someone who has political power, drive, ambition, opinions. In Rogue Trader, That really encourages it. You've got the captain of the ship, who obviously needs to be a leader, but everyone else does too. The Space Marine sergeant, he's leading 200 badass Space Marines. He needs to be a badass leader. The gunnery chief, he's got, again, 100 gunners under his command. He needs to coordinate their firing patterns, make sure they're drilled and accurate, take responsibility for their fuck ups. He's responsible for aiming and shooting, but also keeping discipline with those men under him. You've got the chief engineer, and he's got to make critical decisions about where the power goes, where the repair crews go, what gets upgraded, what gets checked and tested, and what falls by the wayside. Everyone in a Rogue Trader game needs to have a leadership role, have leadership potential. So if the captain is killed for whatever reason, whoever steps up, whether it's the master of small craft, the fighter wing commander, the helmsman, whoever it is, they need to be able to say, okay, well, I have opinions. I'm ready to enforce them. I'm ready to change the world, and I have some of the skills to enable me to do that. I'm not someone who follows orders. I'm someone who can take charge and be a leader. A main character is a leader in your game world, right? So always try to follow that kind of like Rogue Trader model, the all-star squadron. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, they can all have their own comic books, their own movies. Well, they've been having problems with their own movies, but they should be able to. Whereas the Fantastic Four, they individually are not as strong. They need each other. They're a true ensemble. And if any one of them is removed, especially Mr. Fantastic, because he's the leader, it starts to fall apart. Although there's a good argument that the Invisible Woman's a real leader. But regardless, the Thing is a supporting cast member. He's never taken charge. He's never had a strong opinion. He's not the kind of character that you would want to make in a role-playing game. You would want to make someone like the Hulk. The Hulk might make terrible decisions, but he's willing to make decisions. And otherwise, they're fairly similar characters in many aspects. But coming back, let's talk about one-shots for a moment. So I'll often, allow a wide margin. I'll say, okay, it's Savage Worlds one-shot, build a character and show up. And they will, and somebody will show up and like, oh, I'm an orphan thief pickpocket. I'm like, okay, well, the king has summoned all of you guys together to go and deal with demonic incursion. Why would he summon your character? It's like, well, he wouldn't. I'm a supporting cast member. It's like, well, I guess you don't get to play or come on the adventure then, because you made a supporting character, so bye. So don't do that. Instead of making the orphan thief pickpocket, make the greatest thief in the land, the renowned cat burglar who stole the crown jewels from the neighboring kingdom and delivered them to our king and has been living high on the hog ever since. That guy's a main character. The first guy who's just a pickpocket, nobody is going to ask him to save the world, to change the world, to make a decision. He wouldn't even know how to make a decision. So he's not a good character, because we need an ensemble, we need an all-star squadron, we need everyone to be a badass, we need everybody to be a leader in the game. Don't make a generic mercenary, no better or worse than any of 1,000 other mercenaries. Don't make that guy. Make the legendary mercenary captain who's won 100 battles, never known defeat, and his reputation is that he's the greatest swordsman in the world. Now, your reputation doesn't always have to be reality. Maybe he's just lucky. Maybe his best friend is an assassin, and he poisons everyone before their duels, and that's why he's won 1,000 duels. Maybe his sword is poison. Maybe he has an amulet that makes him invulnerable. But he needs the rep. He needs to be able to make these decisions, launch schemes, plots, change the world, save the world. These big bombastic characters who, if you took them out of the team, could carry it by themselves. Ask yourself, can I have a 5-session solo one-on-one campaign with this character and it'll be fun and exciting for the whole time? If yes, he's probably pretty good to go into the All-Star Squadron. But I don't think we could put up with the Thing for 5 sessions of 4 hours each. I think we'd be getting a little bored of the ever-loving Thing after a while. Or Colossus, or a lot of characters who were designed as a part of a unit instead of a main eventer, a top tier star who's been brought together with other top tier stars to make an ensemble, but the style of ensemble is that of an all-star team. So always make a star, never make an extra. Always make a main character. Never make supporting cast. It'll be so much easier for the GM because you can drive the plot. The GM doesn't have to drive the plot. That saves him so much energy. Even if you drive the plot off a cliff, that's fine because it'll be going somewhere. Motion is better than stagnation. I've had a lot of games where I had really strong, bombastic characters, especially like medieval and samurai games where it's like, I challenge him to a duel. And it's like, I never expected a duel to happen. But at least something's happening. And they can fight their duel, and usually the PC is going to win because he's designed to be a main character and a badass. But, if he loses, we'll still have the other characters who are hopefully stars, and we won't have lost our only team leader. So that's kind of my rambling about making a star, don't make an extra. Problem players will make supporting cast members and force the burden onto everyone else to carry the game. Carry your fair share of the load. Push the plot forward. If we have 7 people pushing the plot, no individual has to push very hard. But if only 1 or 2 people are pushing, those 1 or 2 people will get burned out. And I remember a long time ago doing a video on player burnout, how the main character can get burned out, as Josh Powers Pullman did back in Legends of the Seven Sands. So don't burn out the other players. Don't burn out the GM. Entertain the other players. Carry the plot yourself. Be a badass. Be a hero. Be a main character. And until I see you again, good day and good gaming.